On one, talking about some
little tugboat.
What you do?
That joke been stuck.
Over there shark.
Up in his Lexus not for us. She put them headphones on like she can't hear our ass.
Y'all gonna start or not? Y'all gonna start or not?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
All right, come on, let's go. Ooh, okay. Oh man. Oh, listen. Ooh, let me get my stuff together.
We need those moments sometimes.
We do.
You know.
We do.
You know.
Okay, I'm a minute in. Oh,
Just,
hope I'm nothing flying my eye this time. Woo. Man, another great week to be back and talk to you. We thank you for watching, for subscribing, for listening, for commenting. And, today's episode is going to be even better. And because of the fact that, success comes in different forms. It looks different to a lot of people, to everyone, I should say. And, I know for me, when I think about success, who comes to mind? Wow. If I had to look at it from a perspective of like who I look up to, there's a ceiling of motivational speakers, athletes, that I possibly could, but I would say my parents, simply because, I started my career with the thought process of I don't want to be the person that didn't get to fulfill the dream. We live in a age now where being an entrepreneur or, an influencer, is a job. That's a title. That's success. That's how you can build whatever, right? You put a brand ambassador, right? And back then it was like get a good job, get a degree, go in the military. Those were your top 3 options. And so I see my parents as how they were able to go and, still sing on the weekends and be in bands and produce music for top artists and things of that nature, but they never kind of catapulted their career. But the success that comes from out of that is the try. And some people don't equate trying with success. They just equate the fact that a bunch of money
that has nothing to do with success.
You're successful. So that would be who I would think of. Parents, who you got?
I would say when I think of success, a person on top of my parents, I can't leave my folks out, my mama out. Right. But somebody that's like really impacting the world right now to me that I admire and look up to, I would say it's her.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love her. So
her music, God,
not just her being an artist, but her impact that she's having over our community, over young women and younger girls that are looking up to her. How she's able to be in this realm of music and performing, but not necessarily revealing herself or being provocative. You know what I mean? Like some stuff, you sell or whatever, but I just can admire her for, how she carries herself and how she conducts herself and everything. But I also see her being successful. Like, she is who she is. She doesn't have to be in a relationship with somebody to be like, like, oh, well, I'm complete now. Like, she is fine, like, where she is. At least that's what I get from her. And then also just being, like, financially free in a sense. That is definitely success to me. I want to be able to go in stores or book flights and plan things without even have to, like, wonder what's in my account.
Come on now. Talk to me account.
I mean, so to be able to, like, be financially free, but to also take your platform and impact the lives of people that are your peers, but also people that are coming behind you, and really like try to lay the tracks for those that's following behind you. I think that's important.
Basically.
Yeah. And I definitely see that as success.
No talk about it counts because mine said.
So I love her.
So, of course, my parents. I'm gonna definitely go with my parents. But how I measure success, I don't measure it by money by any means. It's a lot of jokes with money. I measure it by. I don't have a specific person. It's just anybody that's taking care of their responsibilities and making progress. Any type of progress is a success. Mm-hmm. So that's how I see it.
I like it.
Yeah, that's dope. Like
and again, there's the perspective of how you view it, right? Mm-hmm. And the ability to have 3 different views that sit here, you know, and let's not get it misconstrued. We're not saying we don't want to have the wealth that comes with it, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. But money don't buy happiness, but you need money for everything. Mm-hmm. And so when you learn how to use money as a tool instead of having an emotional relationship with it, that's when it's like the success that starts to come with it because you're not emotionally attached to it. And I know I'll speak for me personally that I went down that path of being emotionally attached to money because never had it, right? And it's not uncommon for an African American, for a black household to, as soon as we get money, we like, bet, here come the cars, here come the shoes, we got to catch up, right? Because we feel like we haven't been in the conversation that we wanted to be in. And so for me, I had to learn how to stop trying to keep up with the trend of what it is like to be successful for tentative moments instead of having a purposeful life that will bring me wealth, whether that's in knowledge, whether that's in friendships, whether that's in a relationship, you know, family, however that is. So, yeah, that's the success that I would bring upon it. I asked that question because as we were all 3 aspiring WNBA candidates, I would say that the money part of it, of course, is not something that we focused on. It was the opportunity to get the jersey. Mm-hmm. Staying next to the commissioner. At the time, it was the president when we were coming up. Wasn't even a commissioner. It was president of the WNBA, right? And for those who don't know, the commissioner was David Stern, who oversaw the presidents of the WNBA, which is crazy. And so recently, the WNBA players highlighted in their docuseries or documentary called 144 the thought process that they all had to take into consideration from both the financial perspective and the personal perspective. And, excuse me, even when having a financial career that's not as huge as most men, right? You would say, well, what financial decision did they have to make? They already ain't making no money, which would be the main question that comes out of that. But Courtney Williams of the Atlanta Dream said, you know, in a players meeting that they had when they were talking about sitting out, they had already sat out the first game. This was after Jacob Blake had been shot in his back seven
times
for no reason. And they had sat out and they were like, okay, so now what? And so they all go in this room and everybody's talking about, okay, well, we need to do this. We need to do this. And Courtney's like, all right, so I'm going to say what y'all thinking and not saying at the same time.
Pretty much.
And was like, I came here to get a check. I don't know about everybody else, but I could have stayed home to sit out. So, respectfully, if we going to sit out here, let's be honest. Most of us really came out here to get a check. I got people that depend on me, and I'm paraphrasing, but I got people that depend on me. They depend on this check. I need this check. Like, so I'm not saying that we shouldn't go do what we need to do, but if we gonna do it,
we gotta figure something else out.
Very
because
much so.
Just not playing is just not gonna be good enough. Because
very
now
much so.
You're taking the money away.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pose the question to you all as we go into this conversation that I believe is much necessary from the female perspective. What is it that you are most proud of that the WNBA did in the moments of the wubble because of us being on the front line of the conversation?
Just still playing. Just still having the lead. That's my thing. I don't really have anything else.
I think them using like their platform to like wear the t-shirts, really advocate for Breonna Taylor, like the 7 gunshots to the back. They wore those t-shirts. They all stood out.
Mystics did that.
They stood out in solidarity together, not just the team, but like all the teams came together and, you know, made that noticeable across, you know, ESPN, social media, everything. Like they really took a stance. And I felt like that was impactful.
I think it truly was. I think simply because of the fact that for people who kept saying take the politics out of sports, leave it out of sports. We don't need this. We don't need that. We don't need this.
Wasn't it the owner?
You know, if you ready to jump, let's jump.
I didn't know we was okay.
You know, and so having those types of things where the former owner now,
right,
Kelly Loeffler, who was also now the former senator of the state of Georgia, who said she would not meet with the players of the team that she owned at the time to talk about the disparities of what's happening within the WNBA, how we view that there should be a bigger stance. And Kelly Loeffler, didn't think that the WNBA stance should be impactful. All lives matter. It shouldn't say Black Lives Matter. You have 85% of your team is Black.
Right.
What?
She was appealing to the, I guess, Trump supporters in a sense. And, you know, people on that side of the political platform.
Those may be the ones that donate or sponsor majority of. So I guess she just tried to cater to them. So
yeah, well, shorty gone now. So
but they also took that opportunity to wear it on the shirts of like who to vote for.
Yes, they did,
and they used that opportunity to do that. So that was dope.
Which helped facts. Which helped elect the first Black senator of the state of Georgia, Senator Raphael Warnock, Reverend himself. And it also got me thinking, a part of what Courtney has said was the financial piece, right? Yep. So we know when, you know, the ladies get drafted into the WNBA, it's not as life-changing as it is in the men's basketball game. Lexi Brown was featured on a podcast and most recently, and she was sitting with DK Metcalf and Justin Jefferson, who DK plays for Seattle Seahawks, and Justin Jefferson plays for the Minnesota Vikings. And Lexi was sitting on the podcast, and they went around the room and said, "What was your big purchase?" And the big purchase for everybody else was, "I bought my mama a house. So I got me a new car. I bought me a little rollie." You know what I'm saying? Like, and still had money left over. Like they ain't even tapped into the reserve, right?
Right.
And Lexi's like, I mean, bought some shoes, like. And I was like, how you got to be that strong to sit there and listen to another man gloat about the amount of money he can change his life with, change his family's life with. And you making 6 figures, but you ain't touching a mil. You ain't touching 7. Like, you making, at the time, like maybe 100,000, 200,000, something like that, right? And so Courtney said that her family, she got people depending on her. Now, here's my question. Off her WNBA salary alone, we don't know her other endorsements that she may or may not have. But off her WNBA salary alone, I can only imagine the amount of constraint there is in her wallet of the amount of people that she's probably making sure that she's taking care of and still maintaining her own lifestyle. For me, the financial load that women carry automatically, whether that's in sports or just in life in general, sometimes is not applauded as much, and it's also not known as much. So my question to you is, Paris, how do you feel when Courtney says, I need this check? Like, I can't sit out. She can't pull a Steph. She can't be a Dame. She can't be a Kent Bazemore, right? Mm-hmm. She can't be none of these people that can just be like, I'm gonna go
collect. Shout out Kent, ODU.
Yeah, shout out Kent. You know,
we went to school together.
Boy, he lived in Kinston, North Carolina. Yeah, okay.
We went to ODU together too.
Hey, okay. Come on now. See, I know a little something about Kent, right? But he can't. She still can't be him. So, how do you feel about the comments that were made in the wubble during a social injustice time where you really, as a woman, not making a whole lot, can't say, I want to stand up for this, but I need my check.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about not just her potentially sacrificing, but what about her family that's back at home that may have lost their jobs because of the pandemic, and she still had the opportunity to like go and work and provide for her family. So not just the regular, like maybe younger siblings or something that she's looking out for, but maybe she got family now that isn't working because they were laid off or something because of the pandemic. But those comments, for me, they really hit me right here in my heart. Like, you just felt her pain and her sincerity with it all, like how serious it was. And it's just like, look, like, I don't got time to be messing around. Like, I'm here for business. Like, this is strictly business. Like, I don't have no like leeway. I don't have no leisure time to be messing around. Like, I gotta get to it for the people that I'm supporting. Right. So, I mean, women as a whole, we really are like the foundation for a lot. Not just being mothers, but just being like strong staples in our families and everything. And so to be like the breadwinner in your household, and you know, you're going out here sacrificing your body, all of your time, you know, giving something. It is something that you love, but you're literally sacrificing everything that's within you for a piece of something. Yeah. You know, and then you got to take that piece and break it apart for everybody that you are supporting. Exactly. Yeah. That's why I said a piece. So I mean, for me, it just kind of was touching.
And I think, oh, good.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this, like, first of all, like, you got to learn multiple ways to make income. So due to the fact that we understand that our contracts for the league are not high, we know even a WNBA, I mean, even an NBA or NFL baseball, if you get hurt, a career-ending injury, your money stops as well. So we have to learn to stop making excuses and to learn how to make money other ways.
Yeah,
that's true.
I don't worry about what anybody else has, but I know me personally, I'm making money 4 different ways. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't be a millionaire off of one thing. I mean, unless you have that contract, unless you're lucky enough to have longevity in your sports career or, you know, as a business owner, then yeah, but you got to have multiple ways to make money. You can't, I don't find that as an excuse.
Well, I saw it from the perspective of, because this is also during the moments in this documentary where they were sharing how they wanted to make sure that they were making a stance and not just following along suit of the NBA.
Right. Yeah.
And the question came up with, well, we have to stop believing that, we have to start feeling like we have to do what the NBA does because we're not them. And I was like really happy that Sue Bird said that, because a lot of times we hear that in the comments or see that in the comments all the time about, y'all not the men's league, y'all not this. Well, guess what? We don't view ourselves as that either. And sometimes even in the league, you have to be checked on it because your thought process is, I wish I was, because my family dynamic would be different, right? So it's kind of hard to play that fiddle every single time because you're willing to be that person that gets the bag for the family, but the bag that you get is not, it's a Ziploc compared to a trash bag, right? A duffel bag, right? Compared to the largest suitcase you can find in the crib, right? So it's like, you know, we walk around with overnight bag money and they walk around with whole week money, right? And week stay money, I should say. And a lot of that comes from the sponsorships that come in. And so we touched on the fact of, you know, how the WNBA is just now getting, which is still crazy to me, a tampon sponsor. Like they ain't been having menstrual cycles all their life. I'm so confused.
If you think about it though, like the Tampax sports commercials, it's just like regular
people,
female actors that's like playing tennis or on a boat somewhere. Like it is not a face of anybody that you should know. That's a known athlete.
And on top of that, like a lot of people say, well, we don't know who play. Well, guess what? If we didn't see Tua Tagovailoa on a Muscle Milk commercial outside of playing football, what other story you got of him before he came into the league, right? Like, we know it was breaking news when Justin Fields left Georgia to go to Oklahoma, or it was Alabama, whichever one it was. And he's like, breaking news. He's leaving, right? And so it's like, all right, cool. I wonder, even from the collegiate part of it, there's been a lot of moves that have happened. From coaches to like the coach that was at was it LSU? Is now the president of the Las Vegas Aces. Why did that not break news? Why is that not highlighted? Why is that not essential knowledge? Why is that? I
don't know. Like, why is that? Why?
It's important as hell.
Like, why isn't it?
And I'm curious.
Like, they really
I
like
know.
holding
but you
out
on the tech side of it. I really want to know.
Like, are they really just holding out on information because they don't like? Is it not like great news to like the people that's running these shows? Like, what's the real meaning behind it?
Just like how Wendy Williams is popping, she talks about hot topics. So it's just a thing to where they probably feel like it's not a hot topic. Or the WNBA, their marketing team isn't pushing these networks to actually the news. You know what I'm saying? Like, we hear about LeBron go down with an ankle sprain. We're going to see it everywhere. We don't hear about WNBA news, but like what is their team doing to help promote this as well? Like, I can't just blame it on.
They need new marketing team.
Yeah, we need.
I will say Commissioner Kathy Engelberg, in her first year as the commissioner, has done a hell of a job. She has renegotiated the CBA, and Amazon and Google are now sponsors of the WNBA.
That's amazing.
That's dope.
Yep.
I will say that. Now to have two of the top giants representing the league, I can firmly believe that we're getting ready to start seeing a lot of different things. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen when it comes to the amount of video streams that could possibly come out of this. I will say that matter of fact, go right now. You probably could if it's still up there. If you type in WNBA on Google, watch what happens. I mean, the confetti came out of nowhere on the screen. I was like, oh, that's tough.
Oh.
I got excited off the small stuff because the small stuff is huge to us right now. Right?
That's a step. It's progress.
And then the biggest news of it all. Stewie. Brianna
got her own
Stewart signed the deal with Puma to have her first signature shoe.
That's awesome.
She is the
Puma's
last.
legit, man.
She's the first
female in 10 years.
In 10 years.
Go ahead. That's what's up.
To have
she deserve a whole
what?
shoe though. That's a whole fact.
What?
Puma gave J.
She
Cole
is
his own
beast.
shoe. He a whole rapper. So
I ain't
the
know
thing
that.
is,
Hoop dreams.
the thing is, like, shout out to Puma, man.
Puma doing it.
I
Shout out
like
to Jay-Z.
Puma does it.
Jay-Z,
What
Sean
he do?
Collar, because he is the president of basketball for Puma.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
shout out. I didn't even know that.
Okay, I
Shout
can
out DJ.
appreciate
It's
that.
The Rock.
Shout out to Rock Nation Sports.
Oh,
You hear
in
me?
the building.
So with that being said, like I would say it like this. It's starting to happen. Starting to shift. But why the hell did it take 10 years to get a daggone person in their own shoe?
Listen,
progress is progress.
it is.
But it
should
shouldn't
we
have
be,
taken
I was about to
relate
say,
that
should we
to
be
so-
satisfied with that?
We're definitely not satisfied, but
That's-
it's coming.
That's a step. Yeah,
It's coming.
That's a step.
You
Like,
know, it's a way of thinking
Mhm.
over hundreds and hundreds of years now. You know, like we can go all the way back to women not being able to vote at a point in time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just a mentality that there has been set for women.
Mhm.
So to like literally break down these walls that have been built up
Yeah.
years and years and years to like crush different mentalities that have been formed in us since we were children. Like we grew up seeing things probably in a certain way that, you know, didn't allow us to be so open-minded about things because that's just how it was. And
Right.
now we're starting to see
Right.
things being changed
Right.
and women being in places that only men could be. You know what I mean? So things are changing. Unfortunately, it's just what it is, and it's just gonna take time, but
Yeah.
it's definitely happening. Like we see it.
So I want to go back to the 144 documentary. And by the way, we are not endorsed by ESPN. We have nothing attached to it. I just highly recommend it if you haven't seen it.
I wanted to say what 144 meant, but
Please.
I think I don't want to though. I think they just need to watch it because they'll find out. Because when I first turned it on, I'm like, "What's 144 mean?" And then just watch it, you'll
Yeah.
find out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think do
Yeah.
that.
I highly doubt that you will be disappointed. Highly doubt. I wanted to go back and focus in on how at the center of what is supposed to be the season, that's already difficult, COVID taking over everything. I want to applaud the WNBA for not having a single positive test
Right.
of COVID throughout the entire time. It came down to the point that the Seattle Storm had inconclusive tests
Mm-hmm.
right before the finals, and they end up having to postpone the game,
Right.
and then 2 days later, tip off, right?
They was getting tested like crazy though.
Every day, throat and
Every
nose,
single
just,
day.
Oh,
The one I forget her name. She was like, I mean, I was just in here yesterday. I don't
Asia.
got it.
Asia
I
Wilson.
don't got it. Like I was just here yesterday. I don't
you
got
know
it.
what? But it's funny you bring Asia up because I want to make sure that we highlight Asia too. There's some people that don't know this. So Asia played at the University of South Carolina under Don Staley. Don Staley, the GOAT dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Lord.
I should have
South
went to
Carolina.
Temple when she recruited me.
Woo! You tried to
Shoulda
tell
went.
you. You should have went.
Temple would have
I
been
love you,
lit,
Wendy,
too.
but I should have went to Temple.
I want to highlight Asia because Asia has something that every female wants, that every female basketball player, every female hooper ever
I
dreamed
know, I'm
of.
trying to figure it out. What is it?
Asia is, if I'm not mistaken, the first female basketball player to ever have a statue outside of the gymnasium of the University of South Carolina.
Oh,
Amazing.
that is lit.
Yeah.
I never even thought about a statue, but
Mhm.
you know,
And
y'all keep dreaming.
I have a goal
Y'all
to
can
just
do
go
it.
see it because I just want to be that kid in the
That's dope.
candy store one time
Yeah.
and just stand next to it and be like, wow.
That's dope.
Right. Because that I sometimes in basketball moments, and y'all can, tag in on it, because in basketball moments on certain things, like, of course, when you don't hit your end goal, you still dream. And for me, it's like when I get to see certain moments like that, I'm like, I never thought in a million years I would ever see that on a college campus.
Yeah.
Like, I can walk up and say, wow, Asia Wilson is somebody I need to know. Why did she get a statue? Why is she the person that is this dope enough to have somebody carve something out in metal and form her as an actual player. Where we go around the Staples Center, we see Magic. We see all of these people, and everybody wants to take a picture. We see Shaq. We see all these men, and then when we can go on a college campus and still be able to say, hey, yo, that's a new goal.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody got to make a statue out of me. Somebody got to make a statue out of me. And so when you said Asia, that's what made me think of it, because, yo, she's a whole clown. She was talking about getting tested every day, and it was just like, you seen her. She was like, all right, girl, see you tomorrow. Like,
see you tomorrow. Bye.
It was like,
all right, girl.
And it also comes to the thought process, too, of I like how they made collaborative decisions.
Yeah, definitely. Like, all of the organizations came together and talked it out. Like, and like you said, it was players only. It wasn't any coaches involved. It was just the players. And they really like hashed it out and talked about it. Like, we off the court right now. How y'all feel? Right. Where y'all minds at? Yeah. Like, they was talking about mental health and everything. Like, we experiencing PTSD. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the non-African American teammates like really took into account like what their African American teammates was going through.
They all stepped in.
You know?
They all stepped in. On top of that, I like how they were all standing up, and it was like, the Indiana Fever, we're not playing. We've already talked about this for tomorrow. It's out. We're not playing. We're not meant. We just feel as though all of our teammates need a mental break. Yeah. This is a lot. And you don't hear the mental part talked about it a lot. Right? We hear the financial constraints. We hear the financial, the lack of freedom, right? Because, you know, we know a lot of WNBA players personally, and we sit here and be like, you know, when you go to a WNBA game, you know, you see them pull it up, you see Ford Explorers, maybe BMW 335s, right? Maybe, right? Might see a fully loaded Camry or something, right? Pull up to an NBA game.
Ferraris, Porsche, Bugatti,
drivers,
Maybach,
Bentleys, right? Hummers.
You know, like somebody, they got a fleet of old school cars. They coming in there with the little mini joint. I felt like pulling out my old joint. You know what I'm saying?
If it was me, I'd pull up in a Tesla, the X with the suicide.
With the doors.
Hopping out the back like.
So I asked this question going into the direction of, do you believe there will come a day where the WNBA will say, they'll sit down with a Google, they'll sit down with a Amazon, they'll sit down with a Procter & Gamble or somebody and say, we need you to put this money into this so we can keep our players here. A lot of people don't know that there are still some players that are overseas right now that have to fulfill their overseas obligation, and they're WNBA players. And they can't play their WNBA season because of the fact that they have to finish the commitment overseas. And sometimes they're over there 4 to 7 months straight. Do you think there will ever come a time, and Princess, I ask you, like, do you ever think there will be a time where the WNBA will be able to allow players financially, fully, to live off of just being great enough to play in the States alone, and they don't have to go overseas and fulfill another commitment?
In the years to come, I do believe that. It's going to come with extending the season, of course, because it's only like 3 months.
Right.
So I do believe it's coming. I feel like everything is a work in progress at this point. So
I agree with her. I think it's coming too.
Okay. So here's where I'm going with this.
Definitely a work in progress. Just going to take some time.
Here's where I'm going with this. One of the most sad occasions that I've seen that was supposed to be joyous was 2019, the WNBA finals. Hometown Washington Mystics, because if you don't know, we film in Washington, D.C. Washington Mystics became the WNBA champions for the very first time.
Yeah, that was dope.
Ain't
still waiting on the Wizards, but
Ain't too many times somebody in DC wins something. Okay,
it was the Nationals and
The Nationals
the
won.
Nationals, the
Yeah.
Capitals, and the Mystics.
Yeah.
Still waiting on the
Right.
Wizards.
Now, here's why I say it was a pain. Because directly afterwards, they had no parade, and they couldn't because of the fact that they had commitment obligations overseas. Then came COVID. So immediately you just hit the
history.
goal. You made history. You hit the goal of your dreams
gotta go.
as a WNBA player, and your very next day, your bag is saying, "We are at the airport waiting for you."
That's true, though.
You don't get to celebrate what you dream of. What most people would get bonuses for, that's like millions, is like $20,000 as a WNBA player, and you still got to go overseas because your money is made over there, but you cannot sustain yourself as a WNBA player, a champion. You made history. This was before we knew what COVID was going to do. There was no plan in place for a parade because they already knew that the players, most of them weren't going to be here. I read an article in, I think it was bulletsomething.com. I'll get the article, I promise. And the article said, I never really watched the WNBA like that. But then I had a daughter who became so infatuated with hoops that I finally had to start watching more games with her. And as I started watching more games, I started realizing these girls can actually hoop. And so then I had the conversation with my wife. This is the guy, I think he's the editor of the piece. And he said, I started watching the games with my wife. I had a conversation with my wife, and we had already agreed if the Mystics win the championship, I would take my daughter to the parade. So we're having the conversation of taking my child to the parade, and then we wait, and then they say that the parade is going to happen at 11 p.m. Then the next email that comes out and says, we unfortunately will not be having one because some of the players have overseas commitments, and also then later come down the line, there's COVID. As a person who decided they wanted to go to the WNBA, we all wanted, that was the dream, that was the goal, but we share the moments with friends that play in the league or associates that play in the league. Paris, how would you have felt if you just hit the pinnacle of your season? You are a WNBA champion. This is one goal that you've always wanted to hit. You get no parade, and guess what? It's 2021, and you're just now celebrating your 2019 WNBA championship. How the hell would you feel?
I would feel as though I was blown off.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
Just stick to the curve in a sense. Like, okay, so some of my teammates have gone overseas. Why not still have something for the ones that are here? Something. I don't know. You said they're doing something now in 2021. The banner. So today is, what's today's date? Tell me the date.
17th.
Today's the 17th?
17th.
Monday.
The banner. The banner was released on the 16th at the Mystics game. And I think it was some fans back. And they were waiting on that.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, And then, of course, COVID was definitely, that throw a wrench in it. But it is unfortunate that they weren't able to do it primarily based on the reasons that the players were going overseas. Because they had to. You know what I mean? In a sense, they had to, because that's how they making their money. So they had to go make their money. But yeah. I don't know. I feel like it should have happened regardless. Period. Or it should have happened like the very next day. Yeah. Like you leaving tomorrow. We just won tonight. You leaving tomorrow?
Hell, everybody could have got on the Zoom call.
The next day. I don't know. What did they wait like a week? The week of after you normally win a championship, like for the NBA and stuff like that? Is it like that week or that following weekend?
Well, I know most recently, because we have a bigger handle on the pandemic. Tampa Bay had a joint on the boats. They got 3 boats, and family was out there, and they just tossing the Lombardi from boat to boat.
We could have been out on Potomac with it.
Yeah.
I done been out on the Potomac. We could have had a couple boats out there.
Was Spirit of Washington, something like that, you know?
No, not the Spirit. Not the Spirit.
The Spirit ain't got no spirit.
No. The Spirit's still running, bro. That's not okay.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, how would you have felt? This is the pinnacle of the career. This is the top of the top, right?
That sucks.
Oh yeah, it definitely sucks. Like not to have the parade and things like that, but I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm a difficult person.
Nah,
but me personally, I mean, I can't speak because I haven't won a WNBA championship. So it's just like I don't know what I would have wanted. But at this point, shoot, as long as I know I got it.
Right.
I can turn up amongst whoever, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good off of that. Like, it's on to the next. Let's get it.
I'm sure they probably, you know.
They turned up. They got it. They had it.
Yeah.
But that parade, though, that's like a traditional thing for champions.
Yeah.
Like,
everybody get their parade. Why we don't get ours?
Yeah, they should have got one.
I still think there's a parade that need to happen.
And it should.
I think it still need to happen. Mm-hmm. And I will pull up my bells and have my jersey on, my shorts, everything. Like
we didn't celebrate them. That is true. We did
not
not celebrate them.
No, there was nothing.
We did not celebrate them, man.
This was the one time that 3 out of the 5 major teams in the city had a championship here.
We didn't celebrate them. That's man.
Yeah, see? See.
Like, aside from, like, because, I mean, well, it's 6, because if you include Baltimore Orioles. But, right? But, and then, well, no, the Baltimore Ravens, so that's 7. Y'all get what I'm saying? DC-wise, right? DC-wise, right? There was the Mystics, the Capitals, and who else? The Nationals.
Yeah.
The Nationals did something. I don't know what they did, but they was here long enough to do it. How about that? Yeah. How about that?
Shoot,
I went to some games that season right before they won the what do they call it?
What?
When you went in for MLB, the whole joint.
Oh, the
World Series. Yeah, they won the World Series. I went to
it was lit up there. I remember that.
Before they won it. Like I went to like the game or two before they won the World Series. That was crazy.
Matter of fact, people was in the streets, flooding the streets.
Yes.
It was all over the
Capitals,
news.
Same thing.
Yeah, that's a good feeling though. Yep. Like I know y'all watched when the Cavs. My last experience seeing the parade and paying attention to it was when the Cavs had won with LeBron. Mm-hmm. It was huge. Like Kyrie and all them. I was just like,
they was out there with the goggles on the bottom.
I'm like, yo, this is lit. On the floaties. So yeah, I understand.
It was.
That's messed up.
All they got was a new gym and confetti.
You got the fatty.
Like, I ain't see. Well, they probably had a few bottles in the back that was right, but I didn't see what we should have saw. Mm-hmm. I didn't see what we should have saw. I'm gonna tell you that now. Mm-hmm. And like, I sit back. I try to make a joke out of this. I really do. But this is like, it's disheartening.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's disheartening.
2 years later too, like.
So
we still ain't.
So let me. So the way I would kind of pose this is how much longer or do you think there should be a rule in place that the team that wins the WNBA championship gets to have a day at least, or like a few days at least, before they have to go and fulfill their overseas commitment until there's a platform where WNBA players can finally be like, I ain't got to do that.
Do we even have to get to a point where we make it a rule?
It seemed like it. We might need to make it a rule that it's a parade at this point.
Yeah, make it a parade. That it's a parade, but that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Why has it got to be an extra step to everything?
Yeah. You gotta literally fight for everything, every single thing that you want.
So, this is what I say. y'all don't do a parade. We gonna do a parade for you at this point, cause
let's set
y'all deserve it. Okay,
y'all come right on down to Mad Woman. We get right up and down this joint. I got you.
I'm trying to tell you, cause I just feel like it should be done. Like, I mean, you know, cause I'm gonna be honest. It felt like the one in the wubble was bigger than the one that DC won in general. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I saw the effects of how much was promoted when Sue and Brianna got to hoist the championship trophy, and it was like, all right, boom. It was ecstatic, like, right? But it was like ours in DC just kind of like, oh, okay, great. So I don't know.
We can.
We need to have a creative meeting.
Because
I think
my manager manages the Mystics, like some of the Mystics players. Okay. So we can definitely discuss that with him, because he's a great event planner. He can get it together. So
I think they need it still. I think they need it still. Like, congratulations on the banner. Congratulations on winning the championship. Yeah. But a parade is still due to the Washington Mystics. Yeah. Period.
And we need to celebrate them anyway. Like how we had in college, we used to come out and introduce ourselves. Yeah. And stuff. Mm-hmm. We need to have that for.
Yeah.
Well, guess we got some planning to do. But a lot of it starts with the financial investments that these companies can make within us. Part of the reason why we can't get to where we need to be is because the commitment to overseas is still in place. And once the WNBA can become instead of it looked at like the part-time job, WNBA is a part-time job right now, and overseas is full-time. And when that can flip, then we'll probably see a parade and $1 million contract. But big shout out to Stewie for getting this shoe deal. Yes. And send us a few pairs, because I wear it on the job.
Listen.
Yeah. Send us a few pairs. And on that note, 11. Send us the pay.